Star Trek Attack Wing, the classic movie's storyline OP. Month 3 overview, The Voyage Home. While you are battling with an enemy fleet, an alien probe enters your sector. This probe is draining the power from everything that it comes in contact with, and none of your efforts have had any effect on it. The probe seems to be on a course towards the Earth. Can you avoid this strange probe and defeat your enemy? Or will you be left powerless in space?
I vote that we get really close to the probe. We engage warp jump. We go back in time. Save the whales and come back.
Save the whales!
Unfortunately, there's no George and Gracie card.
Oh, I'll pull it out from my CCG.
Yeah, I'll do the same. I think that'll work.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have a problem with that? Show of hands? Nope,
nope. We're done.
Oh,
Good.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Sweet, solved.
Problem solved. We're good.
Insta win.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, shoot, I brought the Targ by mistake.
I brought Spot.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
Well, if Spot's the girl and the Targ's the boy, will they make baby whales?
No, that's not how that works.
Okay. My mommy and daddy never explained that to me. The Targs and the kitties? No.
Okay, so the alien probe. We don't get any special cardboard. This makes me appreciate the Doomsday token, even though it was thin.
The Doomsday cutout that was graciously cut out for us. Sweet.
Yeah.
And it inspired me to create my 3D printed stuff, so I'm grateful for that because good motivation and some good fun came out of it.
Yeah, and it looks really awesome. But yeah, objective token. We'll deal with it.
Hey, everybody's got one.
You would hope everybody has 6.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Some people have more.
Worst case scenario, maybe your TO can whip out some of those, Admiral tokens or whatever those funky things that you'd get when you'd win, part 1 or 2 of one of the lengthy competition OPs where you get to take that token and spend it for a reroll.
Oh, the command token.
Command token, that's the one.
No?
Or something. No?
Admiral token. I think it is an Admiral token.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just kept rambling there hoping you'd jump in with the answer, so.
I don't remember. It's been so long. I think the last time we saw those was like QOP?
Q, I was born a rambling man.
Yeah. We didn't see him in Temporal Cold War, so.
Ah.
Yeah. I kind of miss them. I mean, they didn't do much, but one reroll during the entire tournament. Alright, so we take this objective token. It's treated as a ship that does not perform any actions, cannot attack or be attacked, and cannot be affected by the player's ships in any way, just in case you wanted to try.
No habla target.
But I like that it is treated as a ship. That's important for Cloaked Mind deployment.
Ah.
It works. So, every round at the end of every end phase, that feels like a redundant phrasing, but at the end of every end phase, it does a 2 straight until it exits the other side of the board. So it's just trying to cross space.
So yeah, it starts on the east center line edge. So pick which one's going to be left, right. It's up to you. It's going to start right against.
Get out a compass. Get out a compass. Player 1 has to be facing north. Player 2 has to be south. And the token better start east.
Player 2's on the south, facing north. Yeah. Get it right.
Fine. Regardless, you better get that compass out. And if your building or your table is set up like northwest to southeast or vice versa.
Northeast, north, or northeast, or south, or whatever.
Rotate that board 45 degrees, 22.5 degrees, whatever it takes. That board better be north to south and east to west, exactly.
Yeah, and don't forget, magnetic North Pole is not the same as actual North Pole, so you have to factor in those extra degrees.
Yeah, be sure to compensate.
And if you brought a protractor, bonus points.
I do have a protractor. I carry it with me. I have a math degree and I'm a math tutor. I need it for geometry.
All right, you get a pass.
Okay, look, nobody's actually doing this. It starts on one side of the board, it moves to the other. Pick a side, stick with it.
I picked the winning side.
Or it starts on one side in game 1, it moves to the other side. Game 2, it starts on that side, it moves back. Game 3, it starts...
I thought this was attack wing, not Pong.
No, it's Pong.
Oh,
We're actually playing Pong this time.
Okay, so what do we use for the paddles? Do we use, dreadnoughts?
No paddles.
Aw, it's the perfect use for the Dominion dreadnoughts. Come on.
Actually, it would be a perfect use for, the super large bases that come in X-Wing with, the blockade runner and stuff like that are even bigger than our, tactical cube and Zindi bases.
Those Gigantor ones.
Yeah, that would make a paddle.
That'd be a little overkill, even for Arkanoid. Anyway.
So, the game can end if the probe leaves the battlefield. That's one way it goes. Or time, or death. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. It does a 2 straight, just like you would move a ship, except there's no slots. So, how do you do a straight with a circle? Pick an edge and just move it and make it guesstimate. So
it's a good thing that they state that, that cannot be affected by player ships in any way. Otherwise, we'd be slamming it with lure and fake messages and all sorts of stuff like that. So, it didn't fly off the west edge. So sorry, game's still going.
It would be really fun to have it do a one bank. That's a green move on a whale probe, right? No, I don't think so. If the probe ever overlaps another ship's base, the ship goes boom.
Destroyed immediately.
Which is really fun. I'm like, ha.
Do not pass go. Go directly to Stovokor.
Only if you're honorable. Which, if you get run into by an alien probe, is that really an honorable death?
Yeah, I suppose not.
Did you go out with guns blazing? Because if so, then it is.
Yeah, if you're charging going, rah, then you're basically just getting run over by a bus. A really, really big bus that screeches.
Yeah, and zaps all your power. Speaking of power, the alien probe drains your power.
Don't get too close, kiddies. It sucks.
So, if you start within range 2, you can only choose a maneuver with speed 2 or less. Not terrible.
And if you're within range 1 when you start, you do not move at all.
Yeah, that's kind of bad.
Yeah, which would really suck if you're in front of it.
Yeah, don't fly in front of it.
So it says that a ship that is within range 1 of the alien probe at the start of the planning phase does not choose a maneuver and cannot move. So, part 1, it does not choose a maneuver. Part 2, cannot move. So I would assume that means you cannot even give it a maneuver, let's say, through Admiral Forrest or something.
Right.
Although, that's for the planning phase, not activation. So,
Well, and we'll talk here real quick about activation. If you're within range 1, you don't even get an action. But even if you somehow could do an action, I still think that your ship is not able to move.
True.
So, even if you could engage or something else, I think you're just stuck.
Well, it just says if a ship executes a maneuver that would cause its final position of its base to end within range 1. It doesn't say if it was already there, as a result of the probe moving. So, to get technical on that, you might still get it.
But the probe doesn't move until the end phase. And that's the very last thing that happens.
Right, so if it moves up, and then you are now into range 1, you didn't execute a maneuver that got you there, you just didn't get to move that turn. But in the spirit of things, I would say no, you wouldn't get your action step, because you're in range 1, you're getting sucked dry. But
the literal breakdown of it, to me it sounds like you would still be able to do something. Because it strictly says, if a ship executes a maneuver that would cause its final position to be. It doesn't just say, if it's in range 1.
WizKids, why you have loophole in rule? Why?
Why you make Jackie Chan pull at his brow?
Why? This is such a good scenario.
Yeah.
Until that phrasing.
Yeah, because range 2, you lose your perform action step based on executing a maneuver that ends you there. And doing the same thing in range 1 gets an Aux power token and you lose its perform action step. Sucky.
Yeah, and if you bump, then you move back so you don't bump, you take 2 damage, and then you take an Aux power and you lose your action step.
Yeah. Now, how would Ilea work in that case?
Based on how they ruled things for Wrath of Khan, she doesn't prevent the scenario rules.
Exactly.
All she does is prevent the normal rules of ship-to-ship bumping.
Scenario OP rules override anything else.
Typically, yes.
Yeah.
Which is a little frustrating, because I so want to say that she would negate at least the perform action side of that.
Yes, or you'd still get to do your action.
Yeah.
Like, granted, you're getting an Aux power token, so you'd have to deal with that first before you could do the action. So you'd have to be doing either a green. Actually, no, because you get it after you move, so you would need something like Scotty or a Power Grid or something to remove that Aux token.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be something that you disable instead of getting the Aux, not to remove it. So, yeah, but then again, Ilea, you're losing your perform action step even at range 2 of the probe, so I feel like maybe she shouldn't circumvent that. Maybe she should circumvent the damage from bumping. I don't know.
That takes it into rewriting things as opposed to adjusting for interpretations. That's further than we need to go.
Yeah, it is. So
yeah. So again, the letter and the spirit of the law is definitely in conflict once again. I would say, as a TO, I would definitely say that the OP overrides Ilea's ability.
Yeah, and I think that's how WizKids wants us to interpret it, especially after what they said with Wrath of Khan.
Right.
You know, I think a lot of us played that differently. I know the community was divided about that, but, hey, I'll take what WizKids said ex post facto and go, okay, now I can learn from that.
Yeah, and speaking of conflict, what happens during the combat phase?
Well, if you're within range 2 of the probe, when you attack, you roll 2 less attack dice. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, and if you're defending and you're in range 2, you roll 1 less defense die.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Good news, though. At least they accounted for the fact that you have a lot more attack dice than defense dice, and they didn't make it equal numbers.
And the fact that defense dice are less effective than attack dice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually really happy with that rule.
Yes.
Kudos to WizKids, you know?
Hey, we complain about certain things and we compliment about others. It's better to be juggling both sides and keeping the scale relatively balanced than to be overly praising or overly trouncing them, you know?
Yes. And that's what we try to do.
Yeah.
I think that we try to be fair.
With honesty and integrity. We're not BSing here. We actually mean what we say.
Well, we're maybe BSing, but that's about the game, not about the way WizKids handles it.
Well, we're shooting the breeze about what we talk about, but when we say that we feel a certain way or we mean something, we actually mean that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a matter of personal integrity.
Absolutely.
But, yes, sorry for that personal interjection, but back to the scenario.
Yeah, a ship that's in range 1 of the alien probe cannot attack or defend. In addition, a cloaked ship within range 1 of the alien probe must flip its cloak token over to its red side. You're in range 1. Your cloak is flipped, but you can't defend. So if someone's at range 2 or range 3, they can shoot at you, but you can't do squat. So to me, it should be reworded that, if you're in range 1, you cannot attack or roll defense dice. Unless the intention was to be protected. WizKids, please let us know what's going on here. Because this is kind of a shystery way to just play neutral and say, you can't hurt me.
No, that's one I'll throw it to them and see what happens, because I'm pretty sure that they want to actually answer that and address it and go, oh yeah, we meant this.
Yes. Yeah, this is one that I'd definitely like to know before we run the event, which is likely going to be first week of next month.
Yeah, I've got mine planned for the 9th, so.
First
full week of July.
Yeah, the first full week Wednesday of July for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the 6th.
Yeah, about there.
Okay, sounds good. All right, and then the last part of the scenario. During the end phase, a ship within range 2 can only flip up to 2 of its disabled shields back to their active sides.
Sorry, Equinox.
Yeah. Sorry, Cloakers.
Them too.
And a ship within range 1 cannot flip any of its disabled shield tokens back to their active sides.
Yeah, so remember that ship that had to flip its cloak token to its red side? Well, during that same end phase, they cannot raise any of their shields.
Yeah. Again, a matter of energy being sucked.
Yep.
Because shields are energy.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense.
Sounds like a lot of doom and gloom in the end of times. And speaking of which, the game ends when one player is eliminated, or
the alien probe exits the play area through the west edge of the play area, or
the time limit is reached.
And your objective, of course, is destroy all of your opponent's ships.
Pew, 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 pew. Boom.
Yeah. No bonus points. I really feel like they could have done bonus points.
I think bonus points would be if you kind of count like how many rounds, like you have a token for each round and they're peeled off. So the quicker you do it, the more points you get. You know?
Or, you have so many mission tokens, and every time a ship comes close to the whale probe, you lose one. Or even coming within range 2 of the whale probe, but not within range 1, you gain a mission token. That could have done something. Because then you're, like, gaining data about it.
Right.
Meh.
I still think they could have done, like, the double scenario concept where you actually do the two-parter. You have the whale probe appear, you have to get to the star, which is like a planet token or something that counts as the sun, and then you've got to reach the sun in order to go back in time.
Interesting. Yeah.
And then maybe you have like some skill rolls or some sort of thing. So you put away team tokens on, the Earth token is brought in once you reach the sun, and then you gotta beam down to the planet and do some like objectives there where you gotta roll dice to try to see if you can find the whales and then bring them up, and then you gotta go back and then there you go, deposit the whales in the future.
Yeah, that would be a very interesting scenario.
It would probably function better thematically as a one-player scenario, but I think you could simplify it enough that it could work for 2 players. Just each player has the option of picking up a whale, and then there's 2 pairs of whales, and each player goes to try to retrieve them, and the first person to get back to the future with the whales wins.
That would be something, yeah. That sounds like it would make a really fun mission. The sad thing is, the ships that were used are now out as the prizes, and so I don't know that we'll ever see that. But maybe.
Well, who knows? We might get down the line after Klingon Civil War. The next 3-parter might be 5, 6, and 7 for all we know. We might get What Does God Need with a Starship? We might get Generations.
No. Okay.
We might get First Contact.
Don't Do we need first contact? I'm asking seriously. Haven't we seen just about everything from first contact that we could? Outside of, like, a steam runner class?
Well, especially with the new board cube that just came out with the sphere port, it is basically the first contact scenario.
Yeah.
So, okay, we'll jump from generations and go beyond that. We'll go to insurrection.
Okay, I'll take that. That gives me my Sona.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And the CCG had some great cards around, the Baku and the Solar Collector and all that. And
all right, so we got 2 ship previews here to talk about. So bear with us here. We got the HMS Bounty and the Enterprise A. That's the prize for Voyage Home, and then the grand prize. So we got a bunch of stuff to cover here.
First up for the classic movie OP3 prize is the HMS Bounty. It is a unique Federation Brel class ship with your 4133 stats, evade, target lock, cloak, and sensor echo on the action bar. But here's where things get interesting. The ship's ability. If there are only Federation cards assigned to this ship, add the scan and battle station icons to the action bar. Yes! This ship cannot be in the same fleet as Kruge's Bird of Prey.
Makes total sense.
Yeah. It has 1 weapon slot and 4 crew slots.
Yay!
22 points. Not too shabby for what you're getting.
I can make that work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that essentially is what I think the action bars of the Klingons and the Romulans should have been from day one. But that's another conversation.
You know what, though? They figured out how to give you 6 actions in a really cool way.
Indeed.
And it's not hard to put only Federation cards on a ship.
No.
There's so many of them.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I can do that. I honestly feel like the hardest thing to do for this ship to make it Fed pure is to put a captain on it.
Because there's so many good captains of all the factions.
Oh yeah. But that's the thing is, I don't want to get too much into it, but what Fed captain really makes this shine?
Pike! No, wait, just kidding.
I mean, Tim Waters.
Yep.
That's actually not a bad way to go. Riker.
Oh, absolutely.
Hathaway Riker is a pretty good option.
Yes. Turn it into a 5 attack, 2 defense. Yeah.
That's a decent way to go. I mean, then you don't have Hood Riker, but, I think that's maybe a sacrifice that's okay to make.
Mm-hmm. Well, think about something like Tim Waters, the Worf and the 7 of 9 that give you like the free battle station and the negating the other guy's target lock rerolls and battle stations,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although at that point I might want the Kirk that's in this pack.
Ooh.
Spoilers.
Fill us in, buddy.
All right. So, Kirk, yeah, another one. Don't worry, it's not the last one today.
Aha!
Skill 8, 1 talent, 5 points. All of your Federation crew upgrades cost 1 less point.
Nice.
That's cool. We like that. Whenever one of your crew upgrades is supposed to be disabled, you may place 3 time tokens on that upgrade instead.
Sweet. It's about time we saw some more good use of time tokens.
Yes. And this is a nice conversion. A disable for 3 time tokens is standard.
I would have preferred 2.
Oh, yeah.
Simply because it's just kind of like an on-off, 1 turn on, 1 turn off. Here you got 2 whole turns where it's not functioning. But, it is what it is.
For the things you're talking about, Worf, the 7 of 9 battle station version, you can do those kinds of things. 3 time tokens is not ideal. But getting those abilities once every 3 turns is okay. Then you're not spending your action to re-enable them. And Kirk's not an action at all.
No.
And he discounts for every crew, so he's almost paying for himself. So, I really like this Kirk. I think that this is probably the best Kirk we've seen in terms of the utility you can have. I really like the tiny prize Kirk.
I like the extra talents. I like the ability to hide things.
Sure, and the discount on them.
Yes.
But this is going to discount your crew, and I run more crew than I do talents.
Mm-hmm.
At least when it comes to Fed.
Yeah, so for this guy, running on a ship that has 4 crew slots, you're basically making it so he costs 1. So your 8-skill captain costs you 1 point.
Yeah.
How do you like them apples?
That's pretty good. I mean, your 9-skill Kirk essentially cost you 2 if you ran 2 talents, but then you were running 2 talents.
Yeah.
So, some days that was worth it. Just depended on your fleet.
I like them.
I like them too. Speaking of Fed crew, who's next?
Montgomery Scott. Add 1 upgrade slot to your upgrade bar. There's either a tech or a weapon.
That's okay.
That's cool. At any time, you may disable this card to remove an Aux Power token from beside your ship. 4-point Fed crew. Nice that they continue the legacy of removing an Aux Power token.
Yeah, the at any time isn't ideal because it's only really between phases.
Yeah, that's something that we haven't been fond of.
But,
It would be nice if they added at any time or when the Aux Power token is first received. So you could prevent it at the time of getting it.
Yeah, that would be nice.
You may disable this card at any time to prevent an Aux Power token from being placed beside your ship or to remove one. So I think that kind of gray area would at least factor that in. I don't know.
Yeah, for my venue, we've chosen to ignore the between phases ruling, and at any time means at any time, just do it. So this card's actually amazing in that regard.
Yeah, like for me, between phases is a little too much. Between steps would make a lot more sense for me.
Yes.
Like, yeah, because like, okay, you've got your action phase. You've got, okay, I'm going to do this action, and then I'm going to do this free action or whatever. You do it in between those. So, oh well, I've moved. Planning phase. I've moved. Now it's activation. Got to trigger your ship. Moving your ship, and then I had an Aux, but now I've cleared it, so I can now do an action. Oh wait, something else got me an Aux token, so I got to clear that with this guy. And now you can do your next one. Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm almost making sense.
Almost. I like the slot flexibility, but there's cheaper ways to get either of those slots. Well, at least tech.
Honestly, there are times when I just want to add a tech slot to my ship, and, there's Eric Motz, he's the cheapo guy. He's the right on, just bring out a tech slot. There are times when I want to add yet another one, or I don't mind spending a little bit extra points because I'm short on crew slots for what I want to do to get that added ability. It's like, you might consider Scotty being 1 point to add a tech slot, 3 points for the disable remove Aux. Right?
Sure.
So, I think that's pretty nice, considering how expensive the other Scotty is.
Yes, 5 points, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty pricey.
If you find this card useful, I find the cost of this card to be very fair.
Yeah.
1 plus 3 equaling 4 for what you get sounds pretty solid to me.
It does. I said I would have preferred this card at 3. I have no problem with it at 4. But yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Aux Power removal. That's my play style. So it doesn't suit me, but I understand why some people enjoy it. So, yeah.
Think of him and Waters on an Equinox.
That would be fun.
So, generally one of the weaknesses of the Shield Equinox, or the Equinaut as some call it, is too many Aux Power tokens, so you can't do that. So you throw on like Enterprise E. Riker to trigger Waters and so on. You got it.
Yes.
All right, who's next?
Hikaru Sulu. 3-point crew. If you execute a red maneuver, you may disable this card instead of placing an Ox Power token beside your ship.
I'm sensing a theme here.
I am too. I really like that, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, Ox Power, what Ox Power? It's very representative of him being a great helmsman.
Yeah.
It's totally different than either of the other Sulus.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that this will ever have the same prominence as the really good Evade Sulu.
Right. But if you're not using that Sulu, and maybe you want to use a different checkoff than the, white is green, white remove an Ox token, then you've got some more flexibility there.
Yeah. This can see some pretty good play on like a Excelsior. That's got a few red moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, cross-faction, if you go that route, there's several ships that have way too many red to be very playable.
What about Fed Shuffle?
Oh yeah, the Fed Shuffle. I mean, that gives you one extra round of being able to do it. So,
Exactly.
I like it.
Yeah.
I still don't have a ton to say other than this is solid. It does what it does, and you are either going to like it or not.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably scenario dependent.
It's a Federation Romulan helmsman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it costs 1 more point.
Yeah. But hey, if it's about time the Federation actually had to pay a little bit extra for something for a change.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Pavel Chekhov. Moment of silence, please. Just found out this week that we lost our young 27-year-old Chekhov.
Far too soon.
Anton, we'll miss you. Pavel Chekhov. 4-point Federation crew. At the end of the activation phase, you may disable this card and place an auxiliary power token beside your ship to flip up 2 of your disabled shield tokens, red, back to their active sides, blue.
So, I was reading this, and the first time through, I'm like, I don't understand why this is good. And it took people on my shipyard review to point it out. Mm-hmm. The refit constitution, its action, you can disable shields to gain attack dice. Chekhov re-enables them.
Chekhov gets them back.
Anti-projected stasis field?
Yeah. As long as you're moving after they are, so you'd have to be on a higher captain skill.
Well, this is at the end of the activation phase, not your activation phase.
Haha. That's pretty awesome.
And I'm pretty sure that there's something else that this will work on. You don't want to use this on Cloak, because you'll just re-enable them and they'll go right back down.
Although, if you're not really wanting to get the extra defense dice, and maybe you were just using it to get a sensor echo out of it for one last round, who knows?
No, because the only time you can come out of Cloak is at the end phase.
But wasn't it something saying that if your shields are raised, you're decloaked? Or is this the first situation where you could?
I think the order is you drop your cloak and raise your shields. Not raise your shields and then drop your cloak.
That's something I would like to explore, though.
Yeah. I feel like there's a means of doing that, but...
Because even thematically, this might even be referring to Chekhov dropping the cloak and raising the shields fast. So thematically, it might even lend itself to the game, but it really depends on how particular the steps are in decloaking.
It is. I don't know.
Because all I recall from before is that you cannot voluntarily raise shields. You need an effect to do so, or the end of the round.
Right.
Same as you cannot voluntarily lower your shields without an ability doing so.
Which is silly.
Yeah, well. Although, generally speaking, I guess you could voluntarily want to lower your shields so you can receive tribbles or something else like that, right? So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense and doesn't at the same time.
Or like you're the Ashmer and you want hull damage first.
True. Just pray you don't get boomed in the process.
Yeah, I mean, you are a Daenerys, you have 6 hull, but
True that.
the odds are still against you. It's ill-advised.
Yeah, well, that's almost where you want to have, like, the fleet captain of Decker on a Fed ship in your fleet and throw some damage on it that way.
Yes, which is not a bad plan whatsoever.
No, gets an extra attack die and, boosts that roll.
Yeah. All right. So Chekhov's interesting. He's got some potential. And that brings us...
He's very good.
Yes. That brings us to the last card in our pack, Nyota Ahura. At the start of the combat phase, you may discard this card to target all opposing ships within range 1 of your ship. Each target ship must either discard a token, evade, scan, or battle station, that is beside it, or place an Ox Power token beside it.
I like that it says all opposing ships.
Yes.
So it won't affect yours.
Thankfully.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like the non-damaging version of Federation Cloak Mines.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're in range 1 of me? Discard this.
Yeah, now they get to pick, which isn't bad. I like that you can get rid of their tokens, or they have to take Ox. Like, that's a bad choice no matter which way they go.
Yeah, like at first thought, before considering anything else, you might think, oh, well, no big deal. I'll just take the Ox, keep my token. It's combat round. Doesn't matter. I've done my actions already. But when the next planning phase comes around, you're going to be forced to decide your next movement. Do you dumb yourself down to a green from maybe what you were planning with like either a white or a red? Or do you suck it up and lose your action step? Or do you hope that you have some other ways of dealing with, Ox Power token mitigation? So it can be quite punishing.
It really can.
And if they do something else to you, another means of giving you Ox Power tokens, whether like via the bioship attack or Brunt or any of those other gifted ways, you could be in some serious trouble, especially those Equinoxes.
The thing that gets me, it's 5 points.
Yeah, 5-point discards. But its saving grace is it can affect a great lot of ships.
Yeah, and it's not an action. And it's got good timing at the start of the combat phase.
Right. Okay, here's something some people might wonder. Will this affect an opposing squadron?
Target all opposing ships. Given
that it's targeting all, not a specific?
I feel like it wouldn't. That's not official by any means. I feel like it wouldn't.
I just wanted to raise the question.
Yeah.
It's gray enough that it warrants further investigation.
Matt Decker doesn't affect fighters.
But it's a specific target. It's targeting one specific ship. This is a global effect.
Yeah.
So that's a little different to consider.
I understand. Fighters are a ship and they're not a ship, and somebody just make up their bloody mind.
I wish they would boil down and simplify the concept of the squadrons, the fighters, for that. Because it's often a point of contention, and it does come up once in a while in my venue and say, well, does this work or does this work? Does this work or does this work? And sometimes I can give them a quick, easy answer. Other times I'm scratching my head for a while.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the bounty. I'm really excited for this. I think this is a great prize pack. There's no real card that makes me go, oh wow, that's amazing. Except maybe the bounty herself. I'm really looking forward to having a Burrell that has 6 actions on the bar and can take 4 crew.
Yep.
Like, that's just cool. Yeah, it's a Burrell, so it still has the same problems as any other Burrell.
But it's fed, so it has access to a lot more options for beefing up shields or other goodies, defensive, offensive, and other things. So,
oh yeah,
yeah,
that's the really cool thing. You can make a pretty nice ship out of the bounty, and I'm looking forward to that. And Kirk's cool, so
yeah. And while you might say that none of these cards stand out to you as great, maybe not on their own, but in combination with other cards, I could see some pretty interesting builds already. So I look forward to seeing what people come up with.
oh yeah, I do too. I think that there's a lot out here that opens up the possibilities for people to play with, and that's always a great thing.
Absolutely.
You know, we're coming off of Worlds. What came out of Worlds was a lot of intriguing possibilities and a lot of people taking the game in different directions, and that's super exciting to see. So anytime you get that going on, the community wins. All right, so now we get to talk about the Enterprise A.
The Grand Prize. Now, this is not the refit. This is a unique ship. This is not the same as the Tiny Prize or the Enterprise refit. So you can actually play one of those and this in the same fleet.
Yeah, which is cool. So we saw the A at the very end of Star Trek 4 and then 5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just that neat little piece of, hey, why is that ship actually different? Because it's a totally different ship.
Did we see it in 6? Oh yeah, that's Undiscovered Country. I keep getting it mixed up with Generations. On the numbering side of things.
Oh yeah. So,
tell us about it.
All right. So the Enterprise A is a 3-1-4-4, 3 crew, 1 weapon, 1 tech, 24-point, unique ship, of course, and the named ability. When attacking during the roll attack dice step, if there is a scan token beside your ship, gain +1 attack die, +2 if the defending ship is cloaked.
Ooh.
Now, that's not an extra +2, that's +2 instead of +1.
That's right.
Just to be clear, that's a parenthetical, not an in addition.
Yes, so you have the potential of going to 6 at range 1 right off the bat if you've got a scan token and your target is cloaked. Now, if you happen to throw on type 8s and upgradeds on there, then you can get that puppy up to 8.
Yeah, now you're thinking. Mm-hmm. Now you're cooking with dilithium.
Oh, yeah.
This is quite possibly my new favorite movie era and below ship. Look, the refit dial is solid.
Yep.
The Enterprise A has a great named ability. Scanning is already a good thing. 3-1-4-4 is a pretty nice stat line because of what you can do with 3 attack dice. And Feds have the shield upgrades to make this a really nice centerpiece. So, yeah, the A is like ooh, that's a ship I want to play with. A lot.
Yeah. And just think, something like Picard 9 or a more thematic Captain Spock getting a free scan.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I like this ship. Love it.
Yeah. I think we both kind of like this ship, and we should probably move on before we completely gush over it.
One other thing to note before we move on, for those that don't already know, and hopefully most, if not all of you know, this one comes with a model.
Yes. It's a silvery refit. So it's the bigger size Constitution class, and it's all nice and silver.
Swanky.
So it actually looks pretty good from the picture Tucker took at Origins. Oh, and the dial actually says Constitution class refit on it.
Yes.
Which is really nice to see. Like, because the first one that came out didn't say refit, so you had to do something to remember which was which.
Yeah.
That was a pain in the butt. because they're different.
Well, it did have a different image on it, did it not?
I think it did, but
Still.
You didn't want that. Yeah, they're different because the refit has the two banks are green.
Yes.
Whereas on the normal Constitution, they're white. That's the only difference in the game.
Well, engine upgrade, you should expect some increased performance.
You should. You should.
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer if those 3 turns were not red, but...
Agreed.
We'll take what we can get.
Well, speaking of not a consolation prize, Captain James T. Kirk. 6 cost, 9 captain skill, elite talent slot. Action. Place a battle station token beside your ship. When attacking this round during the modify attack dice step, you may spend this token to re-roll up to 2 of your attack dice. Or, when defending this round during the modify defense dice step, you may spend this token to re-roll up to 2 of your defense dice. You may still perform the battle station action as a free action this round, if possible.
Should note that Kirk does come with a special battle station token.
Ooh.
So you can understand that that's Kirk's special one.
Right. It does say spend this token, so you can't get another free battle station and spend that one as well for this ability.
Right.
You have to spend his battle station token for this ability to work.
Yeah. I don't love the ability, but I don't hate it. I'm just kind of meh on it. It's a nice ability. It's just on too good of a captain.
I think this works best in mixed play. Putting this on like a Klingon or a Romulan ship, or any ship that does not have battle stations. Heck, on a Delta Flyer. Yeah.
Sure, I'll take that. It's just on a Fed ship, it's too needless.
Well, I don't know. Like, think of those situations where you put a battle station out, you roll a hit or a crit or whatever, and then the rest of your dice are all blank, so your battle station's useless to you. It's like, oh, crud. So, it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to be able to convert anything anyway, so I might as well spend it to re-roll those dice. Up to 2, but hey, hopefully it's only 2 that you need to re-roll anyway.
Well, yeah. And I understand the versatility there.
It's a built-in mini target lock.
Yeah, I would much prefer this on a 5-skill, 3-point captain. That's where I'm at.
Well, I figure, given the variety of James T. Kirks we already have, it's kind of nice to have something that's just not, oh my god, wow. You still get a great captain skill, and you have something funky you can use all the same. Everything doesn't have to be like, good god, this is phenomenal, it's blowing the whole game out of the water. It's just cool.
Sure. Well, yeah, I'll buy that.
I'll buy that for $1.
It's not that I'm down on this card, I'm just not up on it. I'm meh, and it's probably because the Bounty Kirk is so much better. To me.
The quicker picker-upper?
Yes. All right. But now I'm going to talk about a card that I am really up on, and that's Valeris. 3-point crew. After your ship executes a green maneuver, you may perform an evade action as a free action.
No disable. No action cost.
Nope.
Woo!
No time tokens.
And it's only 3 cost.
Yeah, I will take a 3-point card that lets me evade every single time that I want to do a green move.
Oh yeah.
And I now have the start of an idea for a green move fleet with Mirror Beverly Crusher as the captain, maybe doing it on the Relara Senkur, get an extra attack die, stuff like that.
Maybe throw Odo in to copy her, granted it's extra points, but if that's what you want.
We could work with that.
Yeah.
So, Valeris is a lot of fun. Somebody suggested running Rudolph Ransom as the captain with her, and then you get more dice, and that's not bad at all.
Not at all.
It's a nice use for a captain that doesn't see much play. So I'm all for that. You know, anytime a card can bring somebody back into the mix of, yeah, that could at least work, that's a good thing. Valeris is already an ace in my book. All right, what's next, Nick?
Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. Damn it, Jim, I'm a doctor, not an engineer. 4-cost crew. During the activation phase, after you move, you may discard this card to perform the action listed on your ship's captain card as a free action.
It's good. I don't think it's 4 points good.
Well, considering that the last one was 5 points, this one being 4, it's getting closer, but not quite there yet.
I feel like it needs to be 3, maybe 2?
I would best think it would fit in as 2, but we would likely only ever get it at a 3. I think that's the best we would be given.
Yeah, because it's a discard. So
yes.
It's one time that you get to do it as a bonus action.
Yeah.
That's rough. And it eats a crew slot.
Like, that's great for, certain things. Like, if it was for, like, an elite talent kind of ability, you only need once to do something like a stalking mode or whatever. But for a captain's ability, quite often you'd be wanting to do it a little more often. Like, even if it's, like, take 3 or 4 time tokens or something. I would have loved more time tokens in this case.
Right.
But a discard, I think we really need to get away from discards on certain abilities that are not OP.
Yeah, and this is not overpowered by any means. It could have been mitigated with time tokens.
Right. The idea is not to let players do it too often and abuse it. You don't want people doing, like, 7 free actions around, right? So
yeah,
you kind of got to rein it in. And time tokens is the solution.
Yes.
Even if you have cards that mitigate time tokens by reducing it by 1, even if they had multiple stuff to reduce it by 1, you can still set it where it cannot be reduced, say, below 2 or something on this card.
Right.
It's like time token reductions cannot reduce this placement below 2. So you have to wait. Yeah, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, word to the wise.
Yes.
I'm feeling a little closed off here. Got a solution for me?
Here, have an isolation door.
Ha!
It's a non-unique 3-point tech.
Yes, more non-uniques.
Yes, although it's a grand prize card. Are you really going to have more than one?
Probably not.
Yeah. Maybe a buddy does and you can fly multiples in a fleet, but...
Woohoo!
Yeah. Action. Discard this card to flip over all critical damage assigned to your ship, and then repair 1 damage to your ship's hull. No ship may be equipped with more than 1.
Sounds like a way better warp core ejection system.
Yeah, and tritium intermix.
Yeah, those poor Romulans and Klingons.
It's basically micropower relays.
Which was a confusing card the way they worded it. This one just makes sense.
Yeah. Well, micropower relays was repair 1 non-crit or flip over all crits.
Mm-hmm.
This kind of lets you do both.
Mm-hmm. Not bad for 3 points.
No.
It's a 3-point action discard that could save your butt. So that's not bad. I don't think this one's overcosted or undercosted. I think it's right in the happy sweet spot.
Yes. I think it's just right. It does 2 cool things. It's a discard, so it's only one-time use, and you're in and out and done.
Yeah. It's non-uniques, which is smart, but it's limited to 1 per ship, which is also smart. And I really think that non-living cards, like non-admiral, non-captain, non-crew cards, the majority need to be non-unique.
Yeah, and restricted to 1 per ship if you really want to. This is the perfect way to do it.
Right. Like the Type 8s and upgraded would be just disgusting if they didn't limit it 1 per ship. Now, transphasic torpedoes, I don't really see an issue with those being non-unique and putting multiples on a ship because they're 10 points. You really got to pay through the nose for these, and you need a target lock. So there's enough balance in of power to require to get those things to actually work, that you don't really need to worry about the other limitations or adding more barriers.
Yes.
But for a 3-cost, non-unique tech card, I think they nailed it with this one.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you there.
I look forward to seeing more like it.
Are you trying to talk about Torpedo Bay while you're on about transphasics? Is that what you're hinting at here?
So the last card in the pack is Torpedo Bay. 2-cost weapon upgrade, non-unique. Add 1 weapon upgrade slot to your upgrade bar. This upgrade must be filled with a Photon Torpedo's upgrade. When placing time tokens on one of your Photon Torpedo's upgrades, if there are no time tokens on this card, you may place them on this card instead. So interesting. No matter how many time tokens your Photon Torpedoes requires, you can put them all on this card instead, as long as there aren't any on there. So you'd have to wait for the Torpedo Bay to count down. Now this is one that you could potentially abuse if you had multiple copies, because it is not limited to 1 per ship, and Sakana makes it free. They both add weapon slots. This, granted, it's on the grand prize pack, but for those keeners out there that want to spend the bucks or compete in multiple events to get more, this is a potential abuse point here. So,
right, but each weapon slot that you add from Torpedo Bay has to be filled with a Photon Torpedo or left empty.
Oh, granted. But there are so many ways to add other slots. You've got your Bolonatores, you've got your Sakana. You might have a ship that already has extra,
Sure.
Yeah, so even putting like 2 or 3 or 4 of these on a ship could be significant. So I would errata the card to say limit 2 per ship.
Yeah, they're not going to do that.
Well, they really crimped down on the tactical station. Overkill, making it unique, in my opinion. And yes, I've said it a million times. That one should be limited to 1 per ship. And I long for the day where WizKids pulls that one back and says so. 1 per ship.
Yeah.
And Torpedo Bay. I just think it's a great card if you want to use Photon Torpedoes, and would be really cool using 2. But any more than that could be a problem.
Oh, yeah. And if you really want, Arsenal does what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Add 2 weapon slots, and you can put 1 time token on Arsenal, so then you slow the cooldown of Torpedo Bay, or you speed it up, rather, by 1. Mm-hmm. So now you really can abuse those time token torpedoes.
Absolutely. Well, food for thought. And that closes the grand prize ship. But that does leave us with one other goodie from the OP. Care
yes,
to fill
it
us
does. The improved hull resource.
I like it already.
It's a question mark cost, which already gets you going, okay, I think I know what they're doing here. So here's what you can do. At the start of the game, you can place 1 mission token on any or all of the ship cards in your fleet. For the remainder of the game, the whole value of each ship with a mission token on its ship card is considered to be +1. The cost of this resource is a number of SP equal to the total combined starting hull values of all the ships in your fleet divided by 2 rounded up. So it's not the number of hull of the ships that you're putting mission tokens on to boost, it's whatever number you start with.
Yeah, and unless there's a ship you really don't want to increase the hull on, you might as well put it on all your ships.
Yeah, you have no reason not to.
Oh, again, this is at the start of the game, so how does that affect cards like improved deflector screens that only work on a ship with hull 3? So if it starts out at hull 3 and gets a +1 from that, does that force you to discard improved deflector screens, or does it get to stay?
I would say that it then gets discarded. Your ship no longer meets the requirements for improved deflector screens. The card is no longer on a ship of hull value 3 or less.
Yeah, which is why I never liked the wording of this upgrade may only be purchased for a ship with a hull value of 3 or less, where I would have preferred they say this upgrade may only be on a ship with a hull value of 3 or less.
Yeah, that's the frustration. But, like, you can't even steal improved deflectors for a scimitar or something.
I know. Like, I get why they don't want to allow that sort of thing, but seriously, I would love it just to say you can buy it if the ship starts out on your build sheet as being that way. And then things like this bit here, it increases the hull at the start of the game. Where if back in the days of flagship, that would have bumped it up on your build sheet, so it would have negated the ability to put improved on. Unless you're bumping it from a 2 to a 3. But if you're going from 3 to 4 that way, that's your divining line. But hey, like this, it adds more credence to a Tholian fleet, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to this resource more for shenanigans and funky fun than powered up, tournament top tier play. Granted, it can certainly make a difference. I'm just thinking it'll get more use when playing casual for fun.
Yeah, I think so too. I think where this is going to see play is in turning a 3-hull ship into a carrier so that you can dock a shuttle onto it.
Yeah, it could work after the fact, but given that it happens at the start of the game and not your build, you couldn't use it to field a squadron or a shuttle or anything like that. You couldn't use it to equip a dorsal phaser array.
Understand those. But
yeah.
Do you know how many times I've wanted to be able to put a shuttle onto, like, a Defiant or an Equinox just to make that super ship? Now you can.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, you have to still have a 4-hull ship to start with, but I think it's going to work.
It gives you a little bit more cross-fleet flexibility and functionality, so not all your ships have to be hull 4 or greater in the onset just to do what you may want to do.
I think this is a resource that's going to be very interesting and very needed now that Officer Exchange Program is retired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it also makes me think of maybe if they release like a shuttle pod at some point, like the scale to which actually can dock with the Defiant, because they had to have smaller shuttles in order to actually work, given that the ship was smaller. So it's like, hull 3.
Well, that'll be very interesting to see how they keep working with that. We know the release schedule is a lot slower, so meh.
And then that also makes me think of going up a notch and saying if they release a runabout, it'd be really cool to have the runabout count as a ship, as a normal ship, but may dock using shuttlecraft rules to a ship with a hull of 5 or greater. Right?
Yeah. Your galaxies, stuff like that.
Right, like the Enterprise D dropped off the runabout's DS9, which I think is where you were headed.
I was.
Yes. Just recently started rewatching DS9 with my buddy Adam, so there you go.
I need to do that. It's Star Trek 50th. I gotta rewatch one series.
I watch at least one series per year, if not more.
Good plan.
Rewatched Enterprise last year. Finished a rewatch of Voyager last year. So now it's on to DS9.
It definitely gives you an appreciation for stuff, so. All right. Well, we have probably taken up enough time for everyone, but that's what's coming for the Voyage Home. I know some of you out there are in position to win Enterprise A's. If you're not, go out there and try to get an HMS Bounty. Those are up for grabs. And have fun. I don't know that we have big strategy tips for the Voyage Home. I haven't put together a fleet at all. My best advice is avoid the probe at all cost. And if you are forced into it, have a means of getting out of there.
A Hail Mary, perhaps.
Yeah, well, and have means of aux power mitigation.
Mm-hmm.
That will definitely help you. So,
things like the warp jumps and the singularities and all that, anything that can get you to move your ship out of there would really be advantageous. Especially because they usually don't cost you an action.
yeah.
Which at that range, you don't have.
Yeah, not so much. Hate to say it, I think I'm thinking Borg for this.
Yeah. Fluidic space on 8472? Just the mobility, the movement of the Borg, that's what you're talking about. Am I right?
Yeah. Maybe Deep Space Nine. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with Deep Space Nine, you're going to have some turns where you have no choice. You are in range 1. You know, because I think even if you put it in the far corner, won't it reach at once it gets a few turns in?
I'll have to do some measurements.
Yeah. Worth checking out.
Definitely worth checking out. So, who knows? Maybe I'll get the Sphereport Borg Cube by then. That would be fun to bring out.
I'm hoping to have mine by the time this episode airs.
Yes. I should note, way at the end of the show, we're recording this on June 20th, and it's going to air probably July 1st. So, we're like a week and a half ahead.
Hail the beginning of summer, Canada Day, and the upcoming 4th of July, Independence Day. Speaking of which, Independence Day 2 comes out the week of us recording this, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I saw the original in theater 5 times within the span of a matter of weeks. We're talking like 2-3 weeks here, not more. So nice. I think I'll probably see this one, assuming it's as good as I hope it will be, at least 2 or 3 times.
Very nice.
In large part, like the first, because I have a number of friends that want to see it, and the majority of these friends cannot see it all in the same time.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
That's ship battles, one way or the other.
Warp core breach in
all
10.
Right. Well, that's it for us, folks.
9.
Thank you for listening,
8,
as always.
7.
We're heading on our voyage
6,
home. Good night.
5. 4.
Good night and good luck.
This is Nick.
3.
And this is David.
2.
Ejecting the
1.
core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.